I'm Emmanuel, I'm CEO and co-founder of Shield. We are on a mission to reshape the Web3 security landscape with a focus on post-hack solutions. Now, a little bit about our team. We're two-time co-founders, with our previous startup being a Y Combinator venture that now sits at $10 million in ARR. We combined cybersecurity, privacy, and software product experience from Facebook, McKinsey, Arnsdale Governance, and more, giving our team a unique position to approach Web3 security. Now, at its core, Web3 security hinges on two distinct phases, pre-hack and post-hack. Pre-hack is all about preventing the exploits, being proactive. This is where most teams are building. Post-hack is the aftermath of an exploit, and it's an area that's generally lacking in terms of product innovation, relying much more on manual investigators and service providers. Now, like many others, we were also initially drawn to the pre-hack segment. We built consumer products, we got some users, we realized degens don't want to pay for their own security. We made traction on enterprise integrations as well, but we found that in many cases, companies only cared about security if it drove an ROI in their user growth. We even leaned into auditing, but all the biggest auditors are heavily service-oriented and have not achieved real product-led growth. So seeing the constraints of pre-hack approaches, we shifted our lens to post-hack, where the demand for solutions is much more hair on fire. It's no surprise that every project and every builder becomes desperate for solutions after an exploit happens. So what is Shield doing about this? We are building products to streamline Web3 incident response, a set of processes that are criminally obscure, hard to understand, and inefficient as of today. So far, we've worked with a variety of exploited DeFi platforms and crypto funds to better understand the most critical hurdles they faced post-hack. And with these learnings, we've already built out a number of products, a transaction tracer, a smart contract code visualizer, and an interface to facilitate on-chain negotiation with hackers. That last one being something that we haven't seen anywhere else in the market. As we continue building out this post-hack tool set, we intend to transform what has typically been a chaotic and stressful recovery process into a streamlined path back to stability. As we carve that path, we're looking for a rockstar technical hire. We want to bring on someone with a blend of technical skill sets in blockchain data analysis and investigation, smart contract engineering, or white hat hacking. If you know someone that fits this mold, we'd love to connect and join forces in shaping the future of Web3 security from a post-hack perspective. Thanks, everyone. Happy to take questions.
Great. Thanks so much. Let's go straight into questions. First one, what sorts of solutions already exist currently for post-hack solutions? And how does Shield plan to innovate on them?
Yeah, so I think there's a number of larger incident response investigation companies. Chain Analysis is a first name that would come to mind, TRM, and others. I think where these companies have tended to focus is much more on law enforcement agencies in terms of the customer base, larger financial institutions. But what we've seen is that there's a much, much longer tail of, let's say, smaller companies, whether that be DeFi platforms, whether that be crypto funds that similarly have exploits that will happen to them, and they generally don't know where to go for assistance, or they don't necessarily, they might not necessarily have the budget to afford like a Chain Analysis. And so like we ourselves actually had an opportunity to work with a small fund where they came directly to us. They didn't know anything about Chain Analysis, and they were still able to pay us within like the 5 figures in terms of the revenue off of that deal. And there's just a very large amount of kind of ventures like this, and you're not seeing the hacks when they happen because either the volume might not be high enough for the on-chain sleuths to notice it and start posting about it on Twitter, or in a lot of cases, these companies are just not incentivized to report these things because from reputational reasons, they don't want people to know about it. But you can find a lot of these incidents in like police reports, public records, for example. So that is our core focus, is actually addressing that segment of the market. that has largely been ignored in terms of incident response and investigation solutions. And we think the models and the products that will have to be built for that segment of the market will differ in some ways from the larger companies, but we think it's a really interesting niche for us to start with.
Next question asked was, since you're targeting projects in, as you put it, hair on fire post-hack mode, how will you tackle go-to-market to reach the right audience as immediately as possible and quickly establish trust with them?
That's a great question. So yeah, I think going after post-hack, you run into the issue where, are there enough hacks for you to always have demand or for you to have kind of a consistent revenue stream? I think we have a little bit of a thesis when it comes to product market fit and security, where monitoring and detection is something that we think can be offered for free, and kind of as a way to build credibility as a marketing channel, and then kind of serve as a funnel into the other products that will probably be around like incident response and perhaps like prevention in some ways. And those are the areas where we can charge. So we do believe that over time, I think building an infrastructure or capabilities around detection and being able to alert when these types of incidents are happening, it's not necessarily something that's going to get us paid and be like the bread and butter of our business, but it's going to be a really, really good way to keep an ongoing stream of pipeline into the company. And then one more thing I'll mention on that is that even though we want to focus and kind of start with post-hack solutions as the front end, when you do kind of assist the company or help them respond to one of these incidents, you get a really, really strong positioning to now be able to say, hey, like, let's make sure this doesn't happen again. You should integrate our other solutions or pre-hack solutions. And whether that's something that we ourselves develop in-house, integrations that we develop in-house and offer for a fee, or kind of more referral-based and can kind of refer them to other partners of ours and take a cut off of that. I think those are both interesting models. But yeah, all of this to say that, we would start and lead with post-hack as the front end because we see the demand much, much higher there. But then on the back end, we would still be interested to offer pre-hack solutions as well at a cost.
In your opinion, what is the most important part of the security infrastructure and security stack for an on-chain protocol that developers should be thinking about?
It's a good question. I think most important, there's a lot of important parts, but I would say, I think a lot of people are overly focused on the audits. Audits are super important, but we keep seeing time and time again that these audits are occurring and the platforms are still being exploited through one way or another. So I think where the market needs a lot more focus nowadays is much more on kind of post deployment, after a smart contract upgrade, for example. In a lot of these cases, you're seeing smart contracts that have been upgraded and then they don't audit the upgrade, and then that causes them to get exploited. Or in other cases, it might be kind of like an adjacent contract that is being used within their stack. And that contract kind of leads to them being exploited. And right, they didn't do an audit off of that adjacent contract because it wasn't actually like part of their direct infrastructure. It wasn't actually their product. So I think it's less. Yes, let's continue focusing on, let's continue doing those audits. But an audit is just like one check mark. There's a whole bunch of other check marks, and especially when it comes to actually like when you're in the market and you're innovating and making changes to your platform and improving your platform, that often tends to be the most kind of vulnerable point from what we've seen.
Great answer. Thanks. That's all the time that we have.